Hello YouTube, this is Kolbot for bringing you the Rusher and Rush E script, and I'm going to talk about how I think it worked with 7 characters in total being in the game, and some errors that it had, and some suggestions for you so that you don't have the same problems that I did as I went through this process, so that you'll have an easier time with this. As you can see here, all the characters party up except for one. I've checked the config multiple times and the settings, and can't find anything wrong. They all look exactly the same for each one. So I'm not sure why this one character on the bottom right will not party without me manually doing it, but it won't, so keep that in mind. If you're doing just one character, that may not be the case. However, if you're doing multiple characters like this, you may need to run one manually like I did. On that bottom right, I have to run that manually or else it would not have worked. And this happened through normal, nightmare, and in hell mode as well, so something to keep in mind. You'll notice that it clicks on the same Cairn Stone quite a few times. Solo play also does this. Probably 3 or 4 times would probably be good for desync or lag, but it takes quite a while to do it. Do not click trying to get it to work yourself. You can cause it to crash, as you'll see later in the video. Just let it be, just like everything with Kolbot, just let it be, and unless something catastrophic is happening, don't mess with it. In Norm, Izual worked just fine, but in Nightmare and Hell, we did not get the quest. So don't count on it getting the quest for you either. Seems to be that it's too far away. It also doesn't click on the angel's soul after it dies either. It just goes right back to town, which doesn't work because in order to complete the quest, I believe you have to talk to the angel. So either way, it's not working, and it's something to keep in mind. Personally, I don't think it's that big of a deal because you can just go back and do this later if you need it. So, but it is something to note. It is something we could improve if somebody has the time or expertise to fix it. This is another point of contention. When you use the give all waypoints feature, what ends up happening is you crash. And the reason for this is number one, because I'm clicking on the screen, but also number two, it crashes by itself because it can't actually get in the portal, or if it does get in the portal and nobody else shows up, it causes it to crash. So keep that in mind. I would recommend turning off the give all waypoints feature except for hell mode, because in hell mode you're not going to be able to do ancients and Baal anyway unless you have a level 60. If you do have a level 60 and you're going to do that, I would recommend turning it off even still. It seems to be that However it's programmed, it doesn't understand that it should just skip this. Eventually, the paladin will skip it, which is at the worst possible time because the crash delay on Kolbot is waiting on that one character. And so what ends up happening is he starts to go through Bale when the bumper is not ready to go now, because the bumper is the one that crashed in this instance. So keep this in mind. I had to manually get through this by pausing the paladin in the throne room and then relogging in, letting the game log in, and then getting the bumper into position and into the Bale throne room, and then finally into the World Stone Keep to defeat Bale in both Nightmare and in Hell. So if you don't do this, you may run into a problem if you're running those waypoint town portals. So I would recommend turning them off for normal and Nightmare at least. And as you can see, it completed Nightmare. Not all of them registered, as I said before, because we have an error with one of them. This is just make sure that whoever your leader is, you need to make sure that you tell it to go to the next difficulty each time you do this, or else it will rejoin the same difficulty. And then inside of your character config, you want to make sure that you change your last spot to, for in this case, I'm going to do Anya. And the reason is because Anya is before Ancients and Bale. We don't have a level 60, so basically that's what we need to do. So just thought I'd mention it. Make sure you guys understand that you should do that. As you can see, we're having issues with magic commands here. We ended up skipping this quest, not by choice, but the bot just basically moved on after I tried to fix it a couple of times, gave myself a few more crashes in the process, and just because of the magic commands in the hammerdin. This is not a very strong hammerdin either. I'm missing quite a bit of gear that would make him more efficient, as I'm just finding it myself. So keep that in mind and understand that this could happen to you too, and maybe a sorceress would be a better choice if she's super strong and well geared. Or just a really well geared paladin, either way. And this is just an instance of me clicking on the screen trying to get the bot to hurry up. Don't recommend it, caused a crash, my fault. I think it probably would have been fine, although didn't really kill all those witches that are shooting at him in the background, so there's a pretty strong chance that it may not have worked anyway because the barbarian would have had to go in there at level 1, and if anything so much as breathed on him, he would have died. So other than that, I think it went pretty well, and we got mostly what we needed in the end. So in conclusion, number 1 and number 7 are basically the same, with the 6th follower or the 7th character. It didn't work even after I checked the configs. Everything is set, as far as I can tell, perfectly. It still didn't work. I had to manually run that through. It may or may not happen to you if you run just 1 instead of 6 or 7 or 8, but I'm not really sure, but it is something to think about. Clicking without pressing the pause key will cause a crash, and did multiple times for me as I was trying to fix certain errors as I was going along. Unfortunate, but still true. The Cairn Stones are a little slow. As you can see, he clicks on it about 5 to 10 times. I can't tell exactly how much, but it's quite a few times. It wastes a lot of time, but it does still get through it. Just let it be. I would turn off waypoints for normal and nightmare, given the fact that it tends to crash if you don't. Level 1 characters cannot go to the World Stone Keep because they cannot complete the Ancients quest, and the way the bot is set up, it waits for everybody to get the waypoint before it moves on. After a certain amount of time, it will time out and move on, but not before your bumper crashes, so I recommend turning that off. Izual didn't work 2/3 of the time. Nightmare and Hell, it didn't work. I didn't show normal, but it did actually work. And then Nightmare and Hell, as you can see, it did not work. Make sure you turn off Chicken. Chicken is normally set to about 30%. If you set it to 0 in your character config, it will not activate and you will just die in the game. When you're rushing, that's a lot better. So don't make the mistake I did of forgetting to do that with one of your characters. Make sure you set it to 0. And then overall, I still think it's a great bot. It's way better than most of the rushing scripts I've seen before. It's still very imperfect. There's a lot of improvements that could be made. But overall, I still think it's really good, and you should try it yourself. I hope you guys have a good one. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.